Hello, I'm Ramirez with Tidewater Renaissance Fighting Arts, and today we're going to talk about pole weapon simulators by Helgi's True History Workshop. So, I was recently at a deed of arms, and I've been working on my harness vectin for my group, and one of the things you need to eventually get to is the point where you need weapons to train with. And one of the kind of gold standard groups or choices for harness vectin nowadays are synthetic heads by one of two major manufacturers. One is, I believe, Odeo out of Ukraine, and the other is Helgi's True Workshop. Odeo is also, I believe, known as the Archem weapon. So if you have something that says Archem, it's the same company. But these are from Helgi's True Workshop. The pole axes are very popular in harness vectin. You can get them in a solid black, or you can get them in this like kind of grayish silver color. Some people do paint them so they even look more like metal weapons. They do have a wide blunt blade, which wouldn't matter because they're not steel anyway. They do have a nice meat tenderizer style maul on the other end, and they do have their dag, their point. People had asked me a lot of questions when I started putting this up on harness vectin groups about how stiff it is. The nice thing about these is the head itself is very light. So strikes are significant, but really more so because of the wood in the haft that gives it its mass. It doesn't, if people ask, well, does it move like a real poleaxe? No, because then all this weight would be metal and there'd be a lot more weight up on the front. That's something that's true with the Purple Heart trainers, but that's also why people don't like using the Purple Heart trainers. So if you have that Purple Heart trainer, a lot of times people at events will be like, yeah, don't use those because they give concussions very easily, a good solid strike. Whereas these, not an issue. You can hit pretty hard with them, and it really isn't that bad. People have asked me about the flex. There is some, I can try to pull on that at the bottom here, but it's nice and solid for hooking, pushing up on the cross. It's really good. The head, a little bit of flex. I can twist that a little bit, but it's not particularly floppy. The dag is the only thing that some people have issue with because it has some more flex to it. But I don't think it's outrageous. I think that's a very reasonable amount of force that you can get to the points that you need it at. The only downside is what you do at the bottom. So this one actually doesn't, it's just a wood shaft. I have to be real careful where I move around here to show you. But I've just left that there. I am going to be putting a point on it. As a matter of fact, I have those are supposed to arrive today. But it will actually be a metal point, and I will talk a little bit more about that in a future video. I tried originally this is not the same poleaxe, same head. I gotta get that in shot. But I tried to put what they call a dart on the end of it. It's kind of like a small spear point. The downside is it's just too darn flexible. So I realized I need to trade that out. I thought this would be safer, but judges apparently in harness vectin find it hard to, when you get into a point, to see where it goes because the point just flexes too much. So my plan is to, once again, replace that with something a little different. I do have another weapon to show you though, so would you like to see another weapon? I knew you would. So this is not just a stick, it's a spear. I just have to get it in the camera. Now, the spears have the same kind of problem that dart did, which is they are very, very flexible. Now, I look at it personally and I go, well, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It is flexible, but dead on, it tends not to. When you actually hit, it doesn't flex. It's when you push the shaft that it kind of bends. But straight on, you're going to get a good amount of force. my intention, I do have two of these. My intention is that I will use these for the sake of, I don't believe that head and shot. I will use these as a transition weapon. I know that when people are new to harness, they might be a little bit intimidated with the alternative. When I fought in the Deed of Arms, the Deed of the Swan this past weekend, they were using metal spears with blunted points. And I was like, that seems a little dangerous. But my last fight, actually, which I will hopefully eventually put on this channel, I was fighting spear against someone, and really, it wasn't that bad. I planned to put rubber fencing blunts on the end of them, but it's not like we don't jam them into people the way you might think, or we don't throw them at people. So that actually worked really, really well. And so my plan is to get two metal spears for when I have people who are all armored up and want to fight spear, that we will be doing that. But to get them kind of used to that, to get people a little bit more comfortable, I feel good about having these weapons here. And then what I will do on the end, right now this doesn't have anything on the end of the spear. I am getting some rubber blunt points from Purple Heart. I'm going to cap those with that because I think that would be comparable if this point, which has a lot of flex here, and then I just put a rubber blunt from Purple Heart on the end of this weapon. So, what do these fantastic weapons cost? Well, let me put this down for a second. So, Helgi, when you order these, you only get the heads. You're not getting the actual spear, the haft. So you're going to have to make your own hafts. I have a armor squire who helps me with building those because I don't have a lathe and the other tools to make them. But the heads themselves, they were about 77 euros for the Polearms heads, and I think the spear was a little bit cheaper. But you have to consider these are coming from Russia, and that puts two problems there. It's not really a problem if you're in the United States to get them, but the shipping is rather high. And also, you can't use a regular payment system. I did kind of press Helgi at one point because there was an imbalance in the payment to take a PayPal payment, but he put in an extra fee for the conversion. They do use, and also Ukraine tends to use another European company to do their money transfers. I found that system a little difficult to use, so I didn't care for it. I had to basically do a wire transfer from a bank to then this other organization to get everything sent. So I would say a downside to trying to get these is that the process of ordering can be a challenge if you're not in Europe. If you are in the United States, you'll probably have to go through a similar process, or if I had known then what I knew now, I would have just said, Helgi, whatever the fee is, I'll just pay it through PayPal. I know he was hesitant to do that, but at the end of the day, we agreed, and I got the second part of my payment done that way. So I will leave a link to these weapons in the description below. My name once again is Ramirez. I'm part of Tidewater Renaissance Fighting Arts. We are based out of Norfolk, Virginia. And I will leave a link to our club down below. And I will see you in the next video.